Hi and welcome everybody. This is Mora from my little corner of Mexico in the central Mexican mountains. And today I'd like to talk to you about what it's really like to live in rural Mexico so you can see if it may be for you. Before I came to live in Mexico, I had been here to the country quite a few times on vacations, mostly to the coast. You know, who doesn't love a beach vacation? A week or two on the beach is wonderful in Mexico, no matter if you pick the West Coast or the East Coast. But when I got here to live last year and we traveled down the Pacific coast of Mexico, I discovered quickly that April and May and probably June, July, and August were way too hot for me along the coast. So we quickly got up into the mountains and had a nice experience up here in the elevation of the Mexican mountains, where I explored several towns and cities and ended up here near Pátzcuaro in Michoacán. Now, going to vacation in Mexico is a lot different than living in Mexico, so I'd like to give you a few pointers on what it's like to live in rural Mexico in case you're someone like me who loves the countryside. I knew I wanted to find a more countryside life here in Mexico, just like I would if I was in the States. I like to visit big cities, but I don't want to live in one, and so I was hoping to find some rental, some house to live in with a lot of room for a garden and my dogs and just, you know, big trees. And luckily I found a great rental here near Pátzcuaro and I love it. And I've been here for 10 months now, which is amazing to me because I was only going to stop for maybe 4 months, but I like it so much here that I've stayed for longer term. One of the reasons I like it is that not only am I in the countryside with a quiet life near nature, but I'm not too far from town. I can go there easily any day I want and enjoy the wonderful town of Pátzcuaro. And also, the big city of Morelia is only an hour away for things like international airport, shopping, medical if I need it, hospitals, whatever. It's all there in Morelia, so I'm lucky to have it all right within an hour's drive of me here near Pátzcuaro. Our neighborhood here is really only one street with houses on both sides stretched pretty far apart. I can't see my neighbors, but I can hear their chickens and their sheep and their dogs, which most of the time I like that. But there's a lot of space, there's a lot of room, and there are really nice houses on this street, and there are houses that look like they were made of cinder block and tarps, to be honest with you. So people from all economic means live side by side here, and it's really nice and wonderful. I can hear the church bells when they ring on Sunday. The church is not too far away, of course, and I just really enjoy hearing the breeze and the trees, and the birds wake me up in the morning. The lake is nearby. It's absolutely beautiful here. I usually walk the neighborhood every day with the dogs, and it's pretty relaxed. You know, I see moms taking their kids to school. There's not too much traffic. The tienda owners are sweeping their front porches, men are getting ready for work. It's just a normal, nice neighborhood, and there's not a lot of traffic, so walking the neighborhood is nice. I always see what's blooming out there and say hi to the neighbors, and it makes me feel like it's a home. I love the mixed forest of Michoacán. There's oak and avocado, fir trees. There's all kinds of wonderful trees here. As you can see, I'm a tree lover. There are old men and old women waiting for the 𝐥𝐫𝐨𝐩, which comes quite frequently in the morning because public transportation is quite good here, even for being out in a rural town. But I'm glad I have a car because it does take about 40 minutes for me to get to Pátzcuaro. And with the dogs, I really need the car. I mean, I guess you could live out here and just take the 𝐥𝐫𝐵, but I can imagine it takes over an hour in a 𝐥𝐵𝐵 to get to Pátzcuaro. For me, it's worth it. I know it's a long drive. I don't go in every day. I go in like twice a week, and I love it out here. It's beautiful. I have a lot of space for the dogs and me to run around. And for me, it's worth it. Although it's been 10 months, so that long drive is getting a little bit old. When the time comes for me to move, I hope to move closer to town if I stay in this area. By the way, if you're wondering how I found this rental, and a lot of people ask me that, I found it on Facebook. So I knew I was coming to this area and I knew I wanted to stay a little longer than usual, so I was looking for a long-term rental, and I joined all the local groups that I could find on Facebook. And I found this site on the group Expats in Morelia, and I jumped on it because it's so beautiful here. I haven't seen that many advertised on that particular group site, but if you join every group you can find in the area you plan to go in, you could probably find something. And then once you get here, you can walk neighborhoods and see what you really like. Because I like the countryside and I like a rural atmosphere, I have really less competition to get rentals, at least in this area, and they're less expensive than they would be if they're in the town. A lot of foreigners and residents like to live right in town in Pátzcuaro, and so I think there's more competition to get a rental there, and the prices are a little bit higher. So if you're like me and you like to visit a city but actually live in the country, here are some considerations you should think about in Mexico before you pack your bags to come and live in the Mexico country life. One of the sweetest perks of living in the Mexican countryside is the peace. Like the whole world is taking a deep, happy sigh. Gone is the city noise and smog. Instead, there's fresh air, wide skies, and nature doing its thing. Birds chirping in the trees, leaves fluttering with the breeze, and the lake nearby sparkles in the sun. Despite the news, life out here feels remarkably safe. People mention the cartels, but I've seen none of it in this quiet corner. My landlords have lived here for over 14 years without a single issue, not even a stolen chicken in the neighborhood. Out here, the biggest daily drama is whether the cows will wander into the road again. I pay about $500 a month for rent, including the internet, and compare that to any city apartment, and it's clearly a bargain. Fresh produce costs pennies grown by local farmers, and my electricity bill for 2 months was just $12. The one thing that can add up is gasoline. If you're frequently driving into town, it's something to factor in, but overall your money stretches further, and that creates a whole new kind of freedom. Home utilities are essential to understand out in the countryside. During the rainy season, power outages are common. Mine usually only last a few minutes, but they still interrupt things, especially if you work from home. When the power goes out, so does the electric water pump, so stored water is important. Most homes have an underground cistern, and some even have gravity-fed systems. Gas is used for cooking and hot water and is delivered reliably. We have a weekly trash pickup, though in more remote areas you may need to haul it. Our collectors say they recycle some materials, and I hope they do. Starlink works great for internet until the power goes out. In a pinch, I tether my phone's hotspot. Cell coverage varies, so check before choosing a home. No internet and no phone can feel really isolating. Many country homes have septic tanks, not complicated but good to maintain. Solar panels are becoming popular too for cost savings and power backup. Not exactly plug-and-play living, but once you settle in, it's satisfying. No Uber Eats, but plenty of eggs, starlight, and the occasional horse walking by. I love it. In rural Mexico, in my experience, almost no one speaks English. Some families speak Purépecha, the indigenous language of the region. At first, it felt like full immersion with no subtitles, but people have been so patient. I've made plenty of language mistakes, including once accidentally saying I was pregnant, but no one judges. They smile, they wait, they help. Connection doesn't require fluency, just heart, humor, and a little bit of humility. Compared to city life, rural Mexico is quite stripped down in the best possible way. No drive-thrus, no delivery apps, not even an OXXO close by. No cafes or trendy spots unless someone decides to sell pozole from their kitchen, which honestly feels more like a block party than a business. I walk to shop at 2 local tiendas, fresh eggs, cheese, tortillas, and usually a friendly chat. We may not have variety, but we have quality. Produce is sun-warmed and just picked. Seasonal eating feels very easy here, and it's really easy on the wallet. I can't pop out to the movies or grab a latte, but I've gained other things. My dogs and I have space to roam. I get excited spotting a new blooming tree or hearing a new bird call. And the other night I saw the first firefly of the season. That tiny flicker made me feel like there was magic in the air. Entertainment here is slower and softer. Sky watching, breeze listening, finding magic in small things, and I wouldn't trade it. There is a dental clinic in the next town over, but for general medical care, I would have to drive to 𝐥𝐫𝐸𝐻 if I got injured, and for more specialized care, I would need to go over an hour to Morelia, which doesn't sound like a lot of time unless you are injured, and then it could be a little dicey. They do have ambulances here, of course, but it's not like in most places in the US where you can expect service within minutes. Sometimes it could take hours, and it's harder to find you out here in the country. So it's good to have a plan B if you are worried about your health or medical emergencies out in the countryside. I've had 2 accidents since I've been living here. One a really hard bump on the head, and the other a probable ruptured hamstring courtesy of my big dog 𝐕𝐤𝐬𝐭. And I'm fine, but I should have probably gotten checked out. And having a 40-minute drive at least kind of makes it easier for me to talk myself out of going. I'm a nurse, but I'm not the best at seeking medical care for my own problems. So if you have concerns about your health or any accidents that may happen, living out in the rural countryside in Mexico, that's a consideration because you might not be able to get to hospitals as quick as you might like. Speaking of getting places, if you or someone you love has mobility issues, or if your car doesn't handle rough roads, this is something to consider as well. Cities like Guanajuato or San Miguel are very beautiful, but the hills and cobblestones are no joke. Out here, the roads may not even be paved or sidewalks may be non-existent, and infrastructure varies from one street to the next. A scouting trip is really important. Walk around, see how it feels. The right place for you will depend not just on your dreams, but on your daily needs. Yes, a modern house in the city might be easier, more convenient, but for me, the quirks and all the extra steps necessary to take for living out here are totally worth it. I'm really glad to be here, and I love Michoacan, especially the countryside. Right now, I'm going to see a couple of properties for sale. I'm very excited. I have been I've been obsessing about these properties online, and I just decided to go see them. I love this area. I'm considering buying a property here, so I'm going to see these properties. I'd love to have a big garden and maybe a couple more animals. And a couple of the houses are in town, which would be great because you could walk everywhere or have a very short drive. Either way, I'll be a lot closer to town, although I don't know if I'm actually ready to buy a place or not. I might wait till next year, but I'm going to see, and I'm very excited about these properties, and I will let you know what happens. With the dogs and a dream of a big garden, I wouldn't think a house right in town would be for me. Not enough room to run or garden space, but the pics for this one showed a nice yard with big trees, so I went to see it. Here's what about $200,000 right in the middle of town in 𝐸𝐴𝐻 can get you. It's a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with a lovely yard and a great neighborhood. You can really walk everywhere in town from here. It has a parking space and a secure-looking gate. The bedrooms are fine and the living room is cute. I like that it gets some direct sunlight and there's a big window to the garden. What I don't think I could live with is the tiny kitchen and bathroom. Even if you were able to take down this wall, where would you put a stove, oven, and fridge? And nowhere to put laundry. The bathroom is also very tiny. The house is old, no one seems to know how old, and each room has 1 electrical socket at the most. You might be able to build a rooftop terrace, which would be great. The yard is very beautiful with this giant avocado tree and more big trees over the fence. It looks like an area they would never build back there. So the positives are being able to leave your car behind and walk everywhere in town. The location is awesome, and the lovely yard. But for me, I need a bigger kitchen and a laundry room. And really, after walking all over town, and the convenience is great, and that would be really fun. But after that, most of the time, I would like to be surrounded by nature, to make a big garden and even have a few chickens maybe. So for the lifestyle I'd like, this is not for me. But I wish I had enough money to buy it as an investment. It would be great for visitors to 𝐸𝐴𝐻, but I don't, so I'll have to pass on this casita en venta. I hope you've enjoyed my little foray into real estate buying in Mexico. It's very interesting. There's a tremendous amount of different types of real estate to buy here, from new townhouses to older houses like that one. And you could find yourself a great little place out in the countryside or right in the city. Come here, wanna say goodbye? Oh, wanna say goodbye? Oh, there's two doggies. If you have any thoughts about rural living in Mexico or anywhere, really, I'd love to hear about it. Rainwater catchment systems, little mini farms, goats. Hey, thank you for, stop, Vigo, stop. Stop, just look at the camera. Look at, nice boy. Look at that nice face. Vigo, you're not very professional. Thank you for joining me in this video from my bedroom with my two dogs. Thank you for joining me in this video. I will see you next time. Goodbye from 𝐥𝐢𝐿𝐭.